Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic in Vedic astrology today. And today we'll be talking about something once again coming from the ancient astrological scriptures. And by the way, I'll remind you once again that all my videos are a direct reference to the ancient scriptures. It is not a figment of imagination of any modern day astrologer, okay? So today we'll be talking about a combination which can make somebody a good poet, okay, who's great in poetry. And there could be several combinations. There could be, tens and hundreds of such combinations which can make somebody a good poet. But today we'll be talking about just one shloka which is giving such a combination. And the ancient scriptures are coming from different sages, so today we'll be just focusing on just one shloka. So if you see that this particular combination which we are talking about does not exist in a good poet's chart, do not come to a conclusion that this shloka is not correct, because like I said, once again, this is just one of the combinations which has been described in one of the shlokas which is coming from the ancient scriptures as to what can make a good poet, okay? So the shloka says that look at the karakamsa lagna, and people who are not familiar with karakamsa lagna is karakamsa lagna is the lagna where the atmakaraka is placed in the Navansha birth chart, okay, or the D9 birth chart. So how do you find the karakamsa lagna? Is pretty simple. Look at what planet holds the highest degree in the main Rashi chart. That becomes your atmakaraka. Okay, when you come to charakarakas, people who have not watched my video on charakaraka, please refer to that. So a planet which holds the highest degree in the main Rashi chart, the main birth chart, becomes your atmakaraka. And by the way, this is one atmakaraka based on the charakaraka principles, but what is common in all the chart is sun is a natural atmakaraka for all the birth charts. So we're not getting into that. We're just considering the planet with the highest degree, which becomes the atmakaraka, okay? So in this birth chart which you see, well, before coming to the birth chart, I'll tell you basically what the shloka says. In case the karakamsa lagna, and once again, karakamsa lagna is the zodiac sign where the atmakaraka is placed in the D9 chart, okay? In case Venus and Moon are sitting there in the karakamsa lagna, okay, Venus and Moon are sitting in the karakamsa lagna, or in case from the karakamsa lagna, fifth to it, or the fifth house from the karakamsa lagna has Venus and Moon sitting. So they have given two conditions: either the karakamsa lagna where the atmakaraka placed in the D9 chart or the Navamsha chart, that should have Venus and Moon. Or in case Venus and Moon are not situated in the karakamsa lagna, then fifth house from the karakamsa lagna should have Venus and Moon placed. So these are the two conditions for this shloka. Then that makes a person an extremely powerful poet, and who understands the art of poetry and who can speak poetry very well as well, okay? Just not knowing poetry. Some people know poetry, they can write poetry, but they may not be able to express the poetry or speak their poetry in front of an audience or whatever. In present day and age, they could record it. So the condition once again is in case the karakamsa lagna has Venus and Moon sitting, or in case fifth house from karakamsa lagna has Venus and Moon sitting, that makes a person a very powerful poet who understands the art of poetry and also can speak their poetry very well as well, okay? That's more important. Just knowing is not enough. So that is what the shloka says. And if you can guess whose chart you can see on the screen, is some people may be able to guess, and some people, may not be able to guess. Some astrologers who've probably seen this chart before can guess whose chart it is. And for people who have not been able to guess, this chart is the chart of the great poet Harivansh Rai Bachchan, okay, who has written great poetry like Madhushala and other poetry. And in his birth chart, the Atma Karaka is Venus, okay, which holds the highest degree in his birth chart. And look where Venus is placed. That becomes the karakamsa lagna in the D9 chart. So if you look at the right chart here, which is situated on the right side, Venus is situated in the karakamsa lagna. That becomes the karakamsa lagna. And it has the conjunction, or it has moon also placed along with Venus, okay. So this fulfills the condition of that shloka, which says that in case the karakamsa lagna has Venus and moon, or the fifth house from karakamsa lagna has Venus or moon, that not only makes somebody a great poet and a knowledge, and gives him knowledge about the art of poetry, but also he can speak his poetry very well, who can express his poetry very, very well. And that condition is fulfilled by the great poet Harivansh Rai Bachchan, who is the father of the superstar Amitabh Bachchan. And you can say very clearly here. Now, added on to this shloka, if you notice it a little more carefully, Venus is exalted in the karakamsa lagna, okay. That makes it even a more powerful combination. And also, if you look at the Rashi chart, he has Gajukeshwari Yoga in his 10th house, and Jupiter is exalted in his 10th house, and Moon is in its own sign in the 10th house. That also is a very powerful combination as far as fame is concerned, as far as people acknowledging his artistic capabilities, which of course is in terms of his poetry. He's known very well in terms of his poetry. So that's an added thing, which of course the shloka is talking more about the positioning of Venus and moon in either the karakamsa lagna or the fifth house from the karakamsa lagna. So even if Venus was not exalted in the D9 chart here, still it would fulfill the condition of Venus and moon in the karakamsa lagna, okay. And even if Venus and moon were fifth house from the karakamsa lagna, then also this condition would have been fulfilled. But in this case, it is even more powerful, being Venus being exalted in the D9 chart, sitting in the karakamsa lagna, because it's the Atma Karaka. Incidentally, Venus also becomes an Atma Karaka in this birth chart. There could be some other planet which could be sitting in the karakamsa lagna as an Atma Karaka, and then fifth house from that karakamsa lagna could have Venus and moon sitting in the fifth house from the karakamsa lagna, and that also would be this similar situation where this condition of this shloka would be fulfilled. But in this case, it's a double impact here. And also I just discussed that in this Rashi main chart also, he has Gajukeshwari Yoga with, and not only just Gajukeshwari Yoga, which is Jupiter and moon together, but Jupiter is exalted and moon is in its own sign. So that makes it even powerful, manifold. So that's how first of all, he was a great poet. Secondly, he understood the art of poetry. Thirdly, he could speak poetry so well. Fourthly, you can see here, because of Gajukeshwari Yoga in his 10th house, he was very well known, he was very popular, he was very famous. And then added on to that, Venus exalted being in the karakamsa lagna. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and all these examples which I put forward in front of you actually gives us or tells us how accurate these ancient shlokas are. If you look at birth charts, and if you try to relate it to what the ancient sages have said, how accurate these shlokas and these sutras are. And this one example confirms the accuracy of this shloka. So once again, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and meanwhile I will recommend subscribe to my channel, check out my website, there is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic in Vedic astrology in my next session very soon. Goodbye.